Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BNB. Let's get into the price action and see what's going on. So within the macro video that we put out, we were saying that there's a potential that we could still be looking for this as an X wave to the upside here, looking for potential to actually move back up between this 517 and this 354 as a X wave, and then actually looking for continuation to the downside. Now, it is technically possible this could actually be completed in here, but due to the size of the W wave, it would be more likely that this was actually still playing out as a bigger move. Now, if this is the case, what we'd be looking for is basically an A, B, and a C wave. And an interesting target area would actually be this golden pocket up here towards this 432 to this 414. So we're going to go over a couple of counts here. We're going to be also discussing the potential that we could actually have a low in place here. And what we are looking for is a move that is starting to progress to the upside here. So we're going to go over this potential of an X wave first here, and then we're going to go over the other way that I'm looking at it. So if we are looking at this as a potential X wave, the way that I would be looking at it is potentially as this is a W, this is an X, and then actually looking for a Y wave to the upside. Now, it doesn't seem to have good structure at the moment for a Y wave, and what I'd be looking for within the internal count here is basically something like this, where we look at this as an ABC, and we look to actually come up towards this zone here of this 398.5. So this would be quite an interesting level, because this would also bring us back into the swing high. So this would be where our 1-to-1 is. We can obviously fall short of it, and if we are looking at the Y wave lengths here, what we do have is 1-to-1 would actually bring us up here towards this 477 area, which would actually bring us back into this high. Now, I do have some zones on here which are particularly interesting. If we look at this higher yellow box area that we have here, between this area here of this 470 and this 398, we could look to actually find a rejection within this zone. Now, if we were looking at the internal areas within this zone, what I would be looking at is a couple of things here. So we first off do have this potential swing failure here towards this zone of this 459.8 area. Now, we also do have some naked points of controls up here towards the swing high as well, which are sitting here towards this 470 and this 463. So this would be quite an interesting area if we do come up here. We also do have a daily naked point of control sitting at this 455. Now, lower down here, if we are looking at this possibility of this actually falling short, we do have some weekly naked points of control and this daily naked point of control sitting towards this 420 area, and then a little bit lower down just above this high here, we do have a daily naked point of control at this 403.8. So I would be keeping an eye on this sort of area. If we are looking to push up here, potentially this could mean we see a move up into this zone and we actually look for a rejection within this area, which could tie into that possibility of that continuation to the downside. Now, what I'm looking for here is I want to see this move complete to the upside here, and what I'd want to see is another 5-wave move here basically to the upside. Now, it is possible this B wave could also be incomplete. Now, if this B wave is incomplete here, what we could actually see is something more along these lines, where our B wave is still playing out, and what we're looking for is this is an A wave, this is a B, and then looking for that possibility of a flat correction. Now, there's a couple of key zones I'd be looking for here as a flat correction. So first off, if we talk about this in the shorter time frame here, what I would be looking for is the potential that this is ABC for wave 1. So this is looking for this to actually form a diagonal to the downside, contracting diagonal to the downside. So what I'm on the lookout for here is, for as long as we stay below this 3391 to this 324, we could actually see a 3-wave move to the upside here, followed by another 3-wave move down, another 3-wave move up, and then another 3-wave move down to form a diagonal to the downside. Now, it is always possible that this move could start to develop into something else. I am treating this current area here as a triangle where this becomes A, B, C, D, E. But if we do actually break down in a bigger way, we need to start being careful that there isn't something like a 1, 2 in here. This becomes 3, 4, 5. And then we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which could look to actually push us down a little bit lower. The target would remain the same though. So 1-to-1 as a running flat would be here at this 276.8, and then also this red box area lower down here towards this 261.5 to this 238.6 would be a common target as a expanding flat. So I would be keeping an eye out on this area. Now, this would tie into basically coming back into this into this green retracement box here, we can see that the golden pocket is actually sitting here towards this zone of this 261.5, which would also tie in with a swing fail of this low, and also coming back into this lower box area as a target box that we have here towards this zone of this 277 to this 256. Now within here, I do have some daily and weekly naked points of control, as well as that potential of this swing failure onto this low here that we have at the 264.6. So I would be keeping an eye on this level if we do look to break down in this manner. So this would be looking at this as the B wave completed, and then what this would mean is that this C wave over here still needs to play out after this move sideways like this. So that would be still looking for that same idea of actually having a Y wave to the upside, which could look to push us up towards this 477.5 area. So this is the corrective way to the upside we could be looking at it. Now there is also the potential within here, like we discussed in the video, that we could actually have a bigger triangle here. What we need to see here is if this is a triangle in this way, this would be looking at this entire move as a fourth. So make sure you watch that macro video for more detail on this. Now what I'm looking out for is the potential of actually forming a bigger 3-wave move to the downside. Now if this is an E wave, a 0.618 of the previous C wave here, so that would be this wave here, would actually be looking to bring us down towards the zone of this 2.440 as a 0.618. We could also potentially look at this move over here, and that 0.618 would actually be here at this 262.6. So that would actually be bringing us back into this trend line here. So if we do continue to break down, but in a 3-wave structure, I would be on the lookout for this. This would indicate that we would be seeing a bigger reversal to the upside from this point if we see this triangle play out like this. Now, as well within the video, we also discussed the potential of having this triangle the other way around, where it is actually a B wave triangle. So this whole triangle here is basically a B wave, and then we look to break down afterwards. The key difference here is that this would be looking for a 3-wave move to the downside, followed by another 3-wave move to the upside, and then actually continuation to the downside again. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. Invalidation would come by crossing the C wave again at this 352 here, or breaking down below this B wave here, which would be this 220.1. So that would invalidate this idea of a triangle. But if we continue to form 3-wave structure within here, we could actually see something like this play out. So that's what I'm looking out for here, looking for that possibility of the triangle. Now another thing that we were discussing was the potential that we could see this actually playing out as a more bullish impulse. Now so that would be indicating that we have a low in place here, and what we'd have to do is if we were going to say this was an impulse, we'd have to treat this as a diagonal for a wave 1. This is a complex wave 2 where we have a W, an X, and a Y here. And then we'd be looking for this 3rd wave towards this 588.5. Now, the internals of how this could play out would actually be something more along these lines, where this becomes a 1-2, another 1-2 here, and then we're looking for this 3rd wave to the upside. So the key thing here is if we're looking for this potential of a 1-2-1-2, what we want to see is this zone of this 280.6 hold. If we start to lose this 786 area here, this becomes less likely that we're going to see this continuation to the upside. What we would then want to see from this is basically to see a move starting to develop to the upside. Now given our current level here, this 1.618 would actually bring up here at this 463. So if we turned around here and this was just a W, X, and a Y, and now we're finished and we're going to look to progress up, this would be our next target we're looking for a 3rd wave. Now what we'd want to see here within this, if we are talking about the possibility of a 3rd wave, is we would actually want to see the volume starting to pick up here as price moves up. So we'd want to see this volume starting to increase here as this 3rd wave develops, and we'd want to see this move starting to have higher volume than the previous wave 1 here, which we have over here. So what we'd want to see is basically that volume to start picking up. We don't have that at the moment, so until we do, we need to just be a little bit cautious within that possibility. We could also look at this move slightly different, where we talk about this as a diagonal, and the key difference here is that we'd then be treating this move as A, B, and C for a wave 1. This is a 2, ABC for 3, this is a 4th, and then looking for another 3-wave move for this 5th wave. So if this is the case, what we'd be looking to potentially do is actually come and retest the top of this trend line here, but we don't have to. What we do need to bear in mind is that invalidation would come by either crossing this 396.8, in which case this 5th wave would basically be longer than the 3rd wave, which is not allowed in a contracting diagonal, or by actually losing this low of this wave 2 at this 265.4. So that would invalidate the potential of this playing out as a diagonal. If we did get this as a diagonal, what we would then be looking for here is basically the potential that this all becomes a wave 1 over here, and then we'd be looking for a 3-wave move back down to this zone of this 245.5 to this 2840, and then we would want to see basically a bigger move to the upside once again. So this would then look for this 3rd wave up here towards the 615 area as a bigger impulse. So keeping an eye on this, it is still possible, for as long as we hold this low here of this 220.4, that we could see that continuation up in this bigger move. If we start to lose this low, however, it becomes less likely that we're going to see that continuation. So we need to just be careful of that. There is the potential for a bullish breakout from this point, but we need to see if that plays out. Now, if we are talking about this as being a WX and a Y over here, now this would be looking at the possibility that, we've had this W, X, and Y, and we completed. So this is possible at the moment, but what we need to be aware of is there is still also the possibility that, this could be incomplete, where this whole move here is still part of a Y wave, where basically this move here is a W, this is an X, and then what we could actually the X would still be in this location. Actually, in this case, we'd be looking at A, B, C, D, E, and then what we'd be looking for is then that this could actually be A, this becomes B, and then we get a C. So this would mean our Y wave is still in play, because we haven't reached that 1-to-1, so it is still possible that we could still see this develop to the downside, where we get an additional push to the downside like this in an A, B, and a C. Now, what I'd be on the lookout here for is basically a move up towards this 330.9 to this 319.1 area. So this would be our typical rejection area. Invalidation of this would come by crossing back above this high of this 340, looking at this as an ABC, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't still go down at a later date, even if we do see a move up past this X wave here. It would just have to watch how this is developing, because sometimes within corrective moves, we can see things develop where actually we'll start to take these highs, where this could actually just become a bigger A wave. We get something like this ABC as a B wave, and then we still look to break down after that. So we need to be just aware with corrections. They are hard to decipher in that way, because the B waves particularly can do pretty much whatever they want. So what I'd be on the lookout for, though, nonetheless, is that if we do move back up here, this could actually tie into a couple of ideas of either retesting this channel over here towards this zone of this swing failure at potential, which is sitting here at this 326.4, which would also tie into a couple of things coming back up towards this golden pocket. If we look at this entire shorter range here, we also do have this point of control that is sitting here towards this 618 area, which is sitting towards that 320.9. So if we did see a move up into this zone, potentially what we could then see is a possibility of coming back into here. As well as that, we are still within that white box area that I had previously marked, and what we have within this is a couple of things. We do also have right in this little area here where the 618 is, we do have a monthly naked point of control towards this 324.4, and this 323.6 is also a daily point of control. So this would tie into the idea of actually getting this move up here and then looking potentially to get an additional move to the downside. So if we did see this as an A, B, and a C, what this could mean if we come up to the 618 is we could potentially still look for a drop down here towards this zone of this 286.5. So this would be looking at that possibility of this being still in a corrective move, and then looking to still maintain this high, this low of this 264.8, and then looking to progress away from this point. If we start to lose this low, that idea of this as a 1-2-1-2 again it starts to fall apart. So we need to just bear in mind, and also, you know, really I don't want to see this get too much bigger to the side here. Otherwise, it's that idea of this being a 1-2 and this being another 1-2 becomes a little bit less likely, because this corrective structure becomes too big in that point. So we need to just give it a bit of space, see how it plays out. Primarily, I am still looking for that potential of a move away from this zone, but we're going to have to see whether we face rejection at this high here, and then whether we look to actually continue to break to the downside. So if we fail to actually continue up towards this past this 339.1, what we could then see is that possibility of breaking back down, whether this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal and this is a bigger corrective move, or alternatively if if this is W, this is X, and this is A, B, and then we're looking for a C, that is still possible. So we need to just be aware of that. We could still see some downside come in here. Now, if we do move down here, like I said, there are some potential areas I would be keeping an eye on. This area lower down here, which has a daily naked point of control and a weekly naked point of control, would be a potential area. So we do have this one towards the higher end of this box, which is sitting towards this 75.6, as well as that lower down here. If we were to swing fail this point here of this 264.6, we could potentially come back down and retest these daily naked point of control at this 261, and then we lower down here we'd still have this 256.8, which actually has a daily and a weekly naked point of control both within that region. So this would be something I'll be looking out for if we do start to break down in a bigger way, possibly looking to find support when we come down here. But really, as long as we continue to hold this zone here, we could actually start to break away. So we need to be aware of that if we are looking to break away from here, we could start to see this develop. Now, the moves currently are not looking very impulsive. This is looking very choppy and corrective, but we could argue that, if we're looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this could be a wave 2, and then what we'd be looking for is basically a bigger move up here. Basically, if we do see a bigger move here where this becomes 1, 2, we get another 5-wave move up here towards this 1618, I would then be looking for that possibility of support to come in and forming a 5-wave structure. Then, what we'd want to see from this is after this completes another 3-wave move, and then that possibility of extension if we find support above this low. Continuing to set these higher lows here is going to be key in looking for the bullish count, though really until we actually break down past this lower range here of this 220.3, this bullish potential is still alive. So we need to just be aware of that. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. See you in the next one. Take care.